Moving to the other side of the world is one of the most stressful times in your life, and I should know. I did it with my family 5 years ago, moving from the UK to Australia. And after the mountain, is it a mountain? The sea of never-ending forms and hoops that you have to jump through in order to get here, the last thing you want to have to then contend with is where the bloody hell am I going to live? Like, by the time you've done everything, you just want to move into a place and know that you're safe and have somewhere to rest your head. And particularly for me, I had a wife, I had a young family. Acting as the father, you kind of feel like I should be able to sort these things out. And then someone goes and adds on the fact that there's a rental crisis in Australia at the moment. Oh, that's going to make it a lot easier for me, isn't it? Yeah, thanks. So to help you out, because I never had the benefit of this when I moved 5 years ago, we're speaking to Jade from Rental Search Australia. And in this episode, we're going to share with you all of the tips and tricks that you need in order to secure your first rental in Australia. How easy is it genuinely to find your first home here? What are the hidden pitfalls that you need to look out for? Is it something that you can really do yourself, or would you just like a bit of help? I guess we're going to find out. G'day, Jade. How are you going?
Hello, good. How are you?
I am very good. It is, for me, the middle of term 3 at the moment, and I'm realising that I'm really tired.
I know there's light at the end of the tunnel, though. Christmas is going to be here before you know it.
I know. And the weather is going to start getting warmer. Do you know what? I've been here for 5 years, and I think I'm starting to get like a low version of seasonal effectiveness disorder.
I bet.
Like
totally.
It used to hit really hard in the UK, but now...
But you're in Brisbane. Is that even a thing there? I mean, I'm in Melbourne, and it gets dark and a bit gloomy here. I thought Brisbane, you might escape that.
We did Melbourne in the summer last year, and I was even still cold.
Okay.
People were like, just go and stand in the sun. I was like, I'm in the sun. And it's still
Melbourne's
cold.
beautiful in the summer. I don't know what happened the time you were here. That seems bizarre.
Well, we must have had a cold snap. It was still in the 20s, maybe early 30s, but there was not the humidity, which normally makes me feel warmer. And we missed a bit. There was a bit of a, just after New Year's is when we went, and we were on the tram, and lots of people were saying, oh, it's going to be 40 degrees this weekend, just as we were leaving. And I was like... I would have liked to experience that, because we don't get the 40s here. It just hits the 30s and, then gets to mid-30s, and it feels like someone's put you inside a sauna.
Well, it does. It gets hot in Melbourne. We've got the proper 4 seasons. Winter, it's freezing. We're all hating it. Summer, everyone's got a pep in their step. Autumn, spring, we get it all here. It's great.
You're not selling it for me, mate. You're not selling it for me.
We're done with winter, though. Everyone's done. Everything's icy, frosty in the mornings.
It's going to be spring next month.
It will.
Jade, for everyone at home, can you share with us a bit about your background and what led to you becoming a relocation agent?
Yes. So I have a business that's called Rental Search Australia. Before that, I used to work in real estate and in leasing, and I loved it. I loved my favorite part of the day was when I'd process all the applications, and then at the end I got to call people and tell them that their application had been approved, and it was just the best. And then there was often a lot of the times that I would have people from interstate or abroad. They would find a property that they like online, and they'll either give me a call or shoot me a message to say that they're keen on it. But at that time, and really it's kind of still sort of the same, that unless they were here that they could inspect it, or they had someone inspect it on their behalf, they couldn't put in an application and they wouldn't be considered. Now, there's some agents that allow people to apply a sight unseen, but 9 times out of 10 you can't. And in that instance, those people, the only option they had is to fly in and get some short-term accommodation, an Airbnb or something, or if they were lucky enough to have a family member, they could inspect it on their behalf. But those other people were really sort of stuck. So originally I thought, well, wouldn't it be great to have someone that could just go and see the properties for them, do a video walkthrough tour for them, and help them with their application? Because there was traditional relocation agents that sort of corporate executive type people would get as a part of their package for moving. Yep. But there wasn't really like a rental advocate. Like that didn't really exist then. This was 10 years ago. So I'm like, this is great. We'll get someone like a buyer's advocate, but a rental advocate that can help them with the process. And that's what kind of led me doing it, just kind of filling in that gap. We started in Melbourne, and then it just went gangbusters. Everyone's heard of a rental agent or a rental advocate, and it's a common thing now.
It's not something, when I think back to us, I mean, this time 5 years ago, I was in the middle of COVID, lockdown restrictions, trying to get on a flight to Australia, and thinking about finding someone to help us find somewhere to live was just like, well, I didn't even think to kind of try it. It was just more a case of we're going to get there and then we're just going to have to spend as long as it's going to take trying to find somewhere to live. I've got a picture, and if I can, I'll put it up on the screen right now. And it's a picture of Aurora. When we moved, she was about 18 months old, and bless her, we just kept dragging her from pillar to post at all
Kids
of the different
love
rental
going to
inspections. Oh, mate,
inspections, don't they?
her face in the picture, I'm thinking about it now. It was like my life. Like,
She's done.
what are we doing, Dad? Why do we? Can't I just go and play? I've been locked in a hotel for the last 2 weeks, and now I'm finally out, and you're just dragging me around places and not letting me play. What is this?
Hate it. And
Yeah.
I love an inspection. Anytime I get to go in and have a look at places, like, love it. Kids hate it.
Yeah.
Hate it. One or two, novelty hasn't worn off any more than that. Just you're taking the piss.
And it's also so we did a few, even when, 5 years ago, it wasn't as busy. It was even during COVID, so it definitely wasn't as busy as it is now trying to find a rental, particularly in Brisbane. And I think the busiest we had was there was like 20 different people, 20 different families in there, which is still reasonably busy. But she hated it even more because, so again, some of them we went to and it was 2 or 3 people, sometimes even just us. And she was like, yeah, I get to mooch around and look at things and don't wreck anything. And then when it was 20, it was like, stay here, hold on to Daddy's hand. I'm not losing you with all these people. So she was like, nah, not having this, mate.
It's a wild west. Have you seen that photo that went around on the news and everything the last 24 hours about that rental inspection in Perth? And there was 92 people that turned up.
I see it even for purchases. We've had a few houses that have sold in the road and they do the open homes and stuff. And yeah, God forbid you try and leave our road when they're having a rental inspection on. There's just cars everywhere.
It's wild. It's totally wild. And I think realistically, those huge lines that we see that are sort of 90 plus people are rare, but it's for those properties that, like that one that was for Perth, was about $650 per week, which is kind of a bit of a sweet spot. The higher you go in price, there's a little less competition, but gosh, anything that's $650 and under, everyone's got their arms out, trying to get in there, trying to schmooze the agent. It's a wild, wild west. It's nuts.
People are going to hate it when I say how much we paid for our rental 5 years ago.
5 years was a good time.
It was $350 a week.
Yeah.
Are
you joking?
Yeah. We could find even cheaper ones as well. It was a 3-bed townhouse.
Stop. It was a townhouse.
3-bed townhouse on a complex that had 2 swimming pools and a gym.
Yeah, those days are gone.
Yeah.
Those days are
you could probably still rent one of those now, and I still advocate for people, they have these big ideas of, I need the big fancy house. I've spent ages to try and move here. I want that kind of forever house. And I'm like, but it's not going to be your forever house, really. Like, you're probably going to want to buy something.
When you first get there.
No, just get a roof over your head so that your kid doesn't have to, get tracked around everywhere.
Totally. No. Oh my gosh, 350. That's still like reeling from that.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since we've seen those prices.
So from your perspective then, what is the biggest misconception that people have about finding accommodation in Australia? Because is it the price that, hey, Ross told me he got one for $350 a week. Yeah, 5 years ago, mate.
Yeah, stop spreading that around. That's going to make my job really hard. Yeah, the biggest misconception. I think I've got a lot of clients who come on who think that they can find something online, so something we advertise, and they'll go, oh, we'll take that one. And it's just a matter of like, you find something and then you'll get it. But gosh, the checks and things that they do on tenants now, and the competition is just, like we were touching on before, so high. So it's not a matter of just finding something you like online and you'll get that one. So that's probably one misconception that people have. And maybe the other, like I know when I lived in the UK and when I was renting there, it was a matter of you found something, you turned up to the open, and if you could afford it, you basically kind of got it. Like there wasn't sort of the checks and things that happen here. So that might be something that people are surprised about. It's about sort of the lengths that agents go to check applications, and all the information that they ask for can seem a little bit overwhelming and a bit of an invasion of your privacy. I think sometimes people from overseas do get pretty surprised by how much stuff they ask for.
Yeah, no, I had felt a little bit like that as well, because when we moved, we owned our own home in the UK. We'd done that for probably best part of 10 years. The last time I rented somewhere, ironically, I rented it off, and the agent was a kid I used to teach. And he was like, I'm looking at him and he's looking at me and I'm
Stop.
like, mate, I recognise you. And he's like, yeah, you used to teach me. I
Oh, how
was like,
funny
do
is
me a good
that?
deal then. Do me a good deal.
Oh, it
Probably
sounds
got a
like
bit
he
of
did
mates
do you a
rates.
good deal.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I literally turned up. I was like, I want that one. And he's like, yeah,
Hmm.
it's available. Again, it was about 380 quid a month. But that was like, I love that house. It was an eight. It was a house of multiple occupancy. There was 8 of us in there. It was
Oh,
great.
yeah.
Yeah,
Good times.
I was 21. It was great. I was like,
Different
yeah.
time. Yeah. Yeah.
And I had no experience. So I just thought it was the same. I was like, oh, can we have that one? And I guess
Mhm.
the sales background in me, again from before I was a teacher, was just like, let's just make our own luck. Let's apply for loads. Let's go and visit loads. And because the worst thing you want to do is go to one that you think, oh, that's really nice. That's a really good deal. I like that area. And then they kind of go, nah, sorry, mate, it's already gone. And you're like,
So how many
oh.
did you end up applying for when you guys were doing the search?
We definitely looked at more than 5 because it was
Hmm.
spread over a few days, and we applied. We applied for most of them. There was a couple that we were like, oh, I'm not even going to bother. But we just kind of applied for more, even ones that we were like, it's okay, but what if we don't get the nice one? What if we
Yeah.
don't get the one
Just hedge your
underneath that?
bets.
Like, would this still be okay? Would you still be happy paying the money and living here?
Mm.
And if the answer is yes, it's like, well, then we're going to have to sit there and fill in the bloody application again, aren't we? Because they're never like, there's not like one agent that does them all. They're always different people. Oh, you've got our own little
They keep
application, please.
saying, the industry keeps saying that we are going to get this universal
Yeah.
tenancy application. And I'm like, yes, when's it going to happen? Yeah, I don't think it's a way off. At the moment, there's probably like 3 main ones: to apply, snug, realestate.com.au, and they all kind of want something a little bit different. And they take a long time to
Yeah,
fill out.
you still can do that. I noticed that as well. You could still fill the first one in real estate, but then when you actually want to then apply for the, oh, I'm interested in this one. That was just kind of to get you in the door for the open home or to view it. But then when you actually want to apply again, I've got to fill in another poxy form.
Could be something else.
And if there's
Yeah.
one thing I've learned about Australians over the last 5 years, you lot bloody love a form.
Bad is it? It's so bad. Yeah, you're not wrong. The form for everything.
So when someone comes to you looking to rent somewhere in Australia, whether that's interstate because they're already here or from abroad, I mean, what's the first things that you want to understand about their situation?
Yes. Okay. So if anyone sort of comes to me, I get them to fill in a bit of a questionnaire. And on that, I'm kind of wanting to know where they're coming from, why they're making the move, what their budget is, where they're going to be working, and if it's a family, if it's a single, just so I've kind of got an idea of their personal circumstances. Sometimes they'll know they've been to Australia before, they've been to the place they're moving to, and they'll know exactly which suburb they want to be in because they know they want to be in that school zone, and then that just makes it super easy. Other people who said, I've never been to Australia before, let alone Brisbane or Melbourne or Perth, wherever I'm moving from. We have got 2 kids and we've got employment in the CBD. Outside of that, we don't know anything. And that's really fun. That's when we'll do like a video call, a little bit like this. And it's funny because when you start chatting to someone, you kind of pick up their vibe and you're like, yeah, I know exactly where you need to be. Like you'll find out as much as you can from the questionnaire that they fill in and their answers. But it's really when you meet someone and you're like, oh, I can see you in this particular suburb, particularly because you've got the kids, or if you feel like you're a bit more like artsy, a bit grungy, you're like, yeah, you need to be in this side of town. And then you'll kind of give them some ideas. And people usually have done a little bit of research just on forums and YouTube, things like that. So they've got an idea. In those cases, that's great. We can explore those, but also offer some other kinds of ideas of things that they haven't thought of. Yeah, it's a fun process. It's a really fun process.
Yeah, we were very open-minded when we came here. We'd made a list of things that we wanted from different houses, but those were all kind of the house that we'd eventually want to buy. But when it came to renting, it was like, mate, pick your parameters, and ours was just cheapest. Just get us a place.
You were
And
fine. And then was there any problems with that place? Like because you went cheap? Like
no,
was it all good?
no,
It's fine.
the
Yeah,
house
it's so
itself was
good.
bigger than the house that we'd left in the UK. We turned up, we were like,
Amazing.
I mean, they always look big when there's nothing in them. That's one of the things that I think. If I was going to say what's a misconception that we also had, we didn't realise that most of the homes come unfurnished. So we were like,
Yes,
oh,
that's a
crap.
really good point.
Yeah. So we were like, crap,
100%.
what are we going to do? The amount of IKEA runs we did in a Toyota Corolla, a rented Toyota Corolla. You can't fit a lot in them.
No,
Good
no,
job.
you
Good job
can't.
stuff comes flat packed.
It's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah,
That's for sure. But this is the thing. This is why you don't need such a big house, because usually people don't have a shipping container. That's
yeah,
really rare. Majority of our clients buy all stuff new, so it's either marketplace or IKEA
mm,
runs. So having a really huge house is going to be a disaster to furnish. So perhaps going a bit smaller is the way to go.
yeah, yeah. I think our lowest one that we looked at was even a two bed, and Sam was like, "Well, what about visitors?" I was like, "Mate, it's COVID. We only just got here. No one else is going to come and visit us. We'll
That
be out
was
of here by then."
crazy. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. The hotel quarantine, all of that. That was
yeah,
nuts.
not my best bit. But you were in Victoria, so I hear that was even worse.
Yeah, locked up, properly locked up.
What are the biggest mistakes that people make when they're trying to secure a rental in Australia?
Not having a good quality application.
What do you
Just
mean by
like
that?
so. So the applications ask you for a set amount of like supporting documents and things.
Yep.
So first off, leaving off supporting documentation. That's one thing. Because there's so much competition in the market at the moment. If you're moving from overseas and you don't have rental history in Australia, and you might
We
not
didn't.
even have employment, or you didn't, and you don't have employment set up, or if you do have employment set up, it's a brand new role. You're coming up against people who have got 10 years worth of rental history. They've been in their jobs 10 years. The agent can call the local agent and go, how have they been as tenants? But
Mm,
for new migrants, they don't have that. So it would be crazy to think that they don't need a really good quality application. So what I really like anyone who's moving from overseas to do is to put together a traditional cover letter, and that would include a photograph of them and their family,
yep.
and definitely a little bit of background information about why they're making the move, how long they're planning to be here. If they've got employment set up, fantastic. Definitely proof of that employment, like a letter of offer or something like that. If they don't have employment, which a lot of people don't have when they're making the move, showing proof of savings, that's really, really important. And just really anything that's going to sort of make the rental provider believe that they're going to be good tenants. Some people go to extreme and they put into their cover letter their love story and how they met, and like none of that. So like
Bit
none of
weird.
that stuff. That's just too fluffy. I think it's just like, oh, this would be really nice to read, but like property managers are busy. They're not reading any of that stuff. They just want to know, can this person pay the rent, and are they going to look after the property?
Yeah.
So as long as you sort of put those things in there, that's the most important. But having a quality application, so important, because that agent is not going to chase you for information. They'll just put your application to the bottom of the line and
Yeah,
they'll go
no,
to the next one.
I agree with that, because obviously when we did it the complete opposite, the stressful way of having to do everything yourself. And I think that it did make a big difference for us when we were going, and I got to speak to the property people, and they're like, "Oh, hello, who are you?" And we didn't dress like slobs, but we didn't necessarily dress up. And "Oh, you're a young family. You're a teacher. Oh, where are you working? Oh, blah blah." And because we got to do that all in person, I think that probably did put our chances up with regards to getting rental offers.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess if you don't have that ability to do it in person, or someone to advocate on your behalf, and you want to have somewhere to go straight into,
Mm.
yeah, how else would you do that? You have to take the time on the application, and you're not going to do that if you're, like we said before, just constantly flood filling in things
Well,
to.
it's tricky, Ross, because a lot of the times, like a lot of open for inspections will be on a Saturday morning, and then there's got a Saturday person who are doing the open for inspection who's just there on a Saturday. They're not the
Yeah,
person that's going to be processing the
probably be
application.
a kid as well.
Yeah, you could be dressed to the nines, you're schmoozing the wrong person. You're like, let me get you a coffee, like doing all the things, and it's not the person that's processing the application. So that one can certainly be tricky.
Mm,
In terms of, it just comes against with the competition, because in COVID, at that time, I was telling our clients to offer under the record, like under the advertised price. And that is just so foreign now. Now you hear of bidding wars and people offering over what you see, and there's different legislation in different states.
yep,
Sometimes some states say that's completely illegal to do any kind of bidding. Other states say you can offer slightly higher than the advertised price, but the agent's not allowed to ask you.
yep,
Other things that if you put in an offer, they can accept it, but they can't ask for it. It's all slightly sort of different. So
yep.
that's something that just like a new migrant wouldn't know. They wouldn't have the thing. If you've got an application where there's all these people and some people are offering more, and you don't know that that's allowed, that's
Yeah, I
tricky.
didn't know about the interstate variations with anything really. Especially coming
Mm.
from the UK, where all right, there's little variations between whether it's Scotland and Wales and stuff, but generally speaking, all the laws are exactly the same. There's so much variation here. What you can do
But there
in.
is. Is there is. I mean, the good thing is kind of nationwide, the legislation has changed, I'd probably say over the last 3-4 years, to be geared towards the tenant. So the tenant really has like a lot of rights and things that they didn't have before. So that's really awesome in terms of renting in Australia. But what does make it tricky is property managers are really particular now about who they'll put into a property, because if you stop paying your rent or you're not looking after the property, it's really hard for them to get you out. So that's why getting a property has never been harder. But once you're in there, you've got a lot of protection.
Okay. So I've already gone through what I thought was my biggest surprise, and that was the fact that lots of properties are unfurnished. What's one thing that you think catches out new arrivals by surprise when they
I'm going to
apply for a property?
say in different states, there's different issues. So Melbourne, it's all our houses are freezing. Nothing, like, it's really rare to get really good insulation. So that's something that, like, people from the UK, they're like, I am freezing. Like, they can see their breath in the house and they're like rugged up. So yes, Melbourne insulation. Sydney, mold. It's got real issues with mold. So each kind of state, again, because there's so many different degrees, like different types of property styles and things as well in the different states.
I didn't know what a Queenslander was until I lived here.
Yeah, Queenslanders are so beautiful. Totally. Brisbane at the moment is, we're seeing more demand for people moving to Brisbane than we ever have before.
Yeah.
And is it true that you guys have got 50-cent drains?
Yes.
What is going on?
Yeah, mate. Yep.
Like, that is just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Some people complain about the transport network itself in the sense that it doesn't serve all of the different places. But I'm like, mate, it's 50 cents. But the thing that they've also noticed is the amount of queue jumpers. Not queue jumpers, fare jumpers and fare evasions.
What,
and it's
not
like,
paying their 50 cents?
Yeah, and it's like, mate, it's 50 cents.
Stop. I wonder if they think, oh, it's 50 cents. Like, they won't even miss it. Like, it's nothing. It's not even worth paying.
Yeah, well, that's the psychology, yeah. What's one thing that you think people surprises them when they move to Australia?
Making the move.
Yeah.
Moving to Australia. Yeah, in terms of the rental properties themselves.
Yeah, you said it gets a bit too cold. I noticed that actually today, we're just coming in the house here. It was warmer outside than it was when I came into the house. I was like, mate, they don't lie.
Well, in the UK, you guys have like built these properties. They've got the double glazing. It's nice and cozy. It is like the houses keep the heat in.
Yeah, but then you've got to pay the extortionate prices for the energy, and you can't afford that. So, yeah, I'll keep the heat in, but you've got to pay to heat the thing first.
Yeah. No, that's true. You don't want to be messing around with heating in the UK, though. All right, man.
Yeah.
It's chilly.
It gets a lot colder.
Yeah. And another one is, a lot of the times clients will go and they'll have a bunch of properties that they'll want to see. And the first property that will go, we'll inspect for them, we'll do the video walkthrough tour. They'll put in the application and they'll be approved. They'll be approved on the first property that we see for them, and we're high-fiving. Yes, oh my God, congratulations. And they go, yeah, we're happy, but it's the first one that we've been approved on. It's the first one we've seen. Why don't we keep going to see? There might be something else out there. And then the process continues and the weeks go on and they go, oh my God, we haven't seen anything else that we like as much as that first one. We should have taken the first one. And really, you've got 24 hours from being approved to pay the bond, the lease and everything, sign it all up. And that is just such a big mistake. And it's annoying, it's frustrating, and we understand why it happens. But gosh, if you find a property that you've been approved on that you like, grab it with both hands, because it happens all the time that people want to see what else out there and it doesn't pay off.
Now, you talked to us about this idea of a strong rental application. Can you walk us through then what a strong rental application really looks like?
Okay, so every platform, so every software that every agent uses will ask for 100 points of ID. So,
I remember that thing.
Yeah, so that's going to be laid out with how much a passport is for you've got passport, driver's license, Medicare, whatever the case may be, to make up your 100 points of ID. Every adult over the age of 18 that's going to be in the property, agents want you to fill in an application form. So even if you've got a husband and wife and maybe just the husband or the wife is working, it doesn't matter. They still want everyone over the age of 18 to fill in an application form. It's even if you've got a dependent child that's 18, 19, they want them to fill out an application form. They want to, more than anything, they want to know that you can pay for the rent. So if you have got employment set up in Australia, it is your letter of offer that they want to see, which basically outlines your start date and your expected salary. If you are moving over when you're keeping the role that you have and you might be working remotely, it's your last 3 pay slips. If you have got your own business, and you work for yourself, it is a accountant that they can speak to.
Mm-hmm.
They are going to, so you can provide proof in terms of supporting documents, but they're also going to want a contact person that they can call or email that confirms the details that you've given them. So ideally an employer on that front. If you do not have employment secured, this is not good. They don't like that. There are ways around it, and that is paying or offering rent in advance. An ideal number is 6 months of rent in advance, which is a big chunk of money up front.
Yeah.
If you have that, that is going to be an ideal situation. And for me, in terms of my business, I only ever take on clients who have got employment set up or they can pay 6 months of rent in advance. And this is because just with this rental crisis, I'm not 100% confident that I can get something for you if you don't have those things. And that's not to say that you couldn't do that on your own and come out and try and find something, but it is just going to be hard because you are coming against people that do have those things. So it is showing proof of savings if you don't have that employment set up. And just on that, different areas like Brisbane don't actually let you pay for rent in advance. So you can offer it or you can show that you have it, but they can't actually accept it. Where other states, they will happily accept your 6 months of rent in advance. So it's basically the employment is the other thing. And in terms of being able to show that you can care for the property. So you've got two options, is showing a rental reference of where you've been, or if you've owned your own property. So a lot of people are worried when they're immigrating from overseas that they don't have Australian rental history. And I actually don't think that that's that big of a deal. I think agents and rental providers understand that people are moving out and they don't have rental history. And I don't think they need to sort of penalise them. They don't penalise them because of that, but they do want to know where they've been. So if you've sold your house or you've owned and you're renting that out, they want to see proof of ownership of that property. So that could be a council rates notice or the first page of the contract of sale that shows it's got your name and that you're the owner of that property. And then they'd like to know what's happening with that property. So if you've sold, explaining that, and even maybe a link to the property that if it's gone up online, that they can show this is my property, you can see how I've cared for it, you can see we're living there, that's our stuff that you can see in there. That's always good that you can put in the cover letter. If you've rented, they want to know who you've rented through, and ideally they want to speak to a real estate agent, and then they'll email through a rental reference to speak to them. A lot of times people are renting through a private landlord, and that's legit. But real estate agents don't love that because often when they see private landlord, they think it's probably like your mate that's like, Ross rented through me and he was a great tenant and everything was paid on time. And so they can't kind of verify it and check it. So if you're coming out perhaps without a job and a private reference, private landlord, it's really not going to look good. It's not going to make a strong application. And I would be kind of quite nervous in that situation. If you're coming out with savings or a job set up, you've owned your own home or you've got a rental reference, big ticks. That looks really good.
Cool. So, I mean, when people move anyway, that's like one of the most stressful times of their lives. And I guess people that are a bit more organised than me, they like to get things all sorted out. Are there any other documents or evidence other than what you just suggested that you think people should, keep it in a little folder ready for when they're trying to find a house?
Yeah, so it'd be those 100 points of ID. That stuff you could do personal references, but they don't go very far because personal references, again, it's your friends, your neighbours, people, your mum, your dad.
Of course he's going to say we were all right.
Yeah, totally. So personal references I'd probably leave off there. It's just the things that they want to see in terms of the rental references or the home things, your finances, and that cover letter. And you can find a template of a cover letter online, or even anyone can come through to me and I can send them through a template that's basically just sort of explaining, this is our family, this is why we're moving, this is a photo of us. Oh, pets. We haven't spoken about pets. That's a big one because a lot of people move with pets. Owners can't refuse a pet, can't blankly refuse a pet, which is so, so great. We do find that sometimes if pets are on an application and owner doesn't want them, they'll just choose an application that doesn't include a pet. The good news is if you were to get into a property and then you get a pet, you can't be last to leave because you've got a pet. The legislation covers you. Okay. So on that, with that cover letter, going back to that, putting photos of your pet and the fact that you're moving them out, which is a huge expense. Moving pets is so expensive. Surely it goes to show what a great pet owner you are and that you care for your animal and that they won't provide any, or they won't do any damage, things like that. that can all go in that cover letter, but keep it
Mhm.
precise. Again, no love stories, none of that. Just why you're going to be a good tenant.
Okay. And I guess then, I mean, we've talked a lot about things to try and get the application, but I guess what advice do you have for people when they're looking at a property, or what do you even look for on behalf of your clients? What are some red flags in rental listings or when you're going around that people should watch out for?
This is a really good one, actually, because there is no rules to say how old the property photos have to be on realestate.com. So a lot of the times when you're looking for a rental, the photos that are used are from the last time that the property was sold. So they could be upwards of 10 years old, and they'll be like professionally styled sometimes, and they're like looking the best that they ever have. And then when you get into the inspection, you're looking around, you're like, is this the same place? Like, that is such a big one. And that's really probably the
What do they call
reason.
that? Catfishing, when it's like you're looking
Big
at
time
profiles on Tinder or
catfishing,
something.
property catfishing massively. And I think that's why agents are so keen on tenants inspecting the property or having someone inspect it on their behalf so they know what they're getting themselves into, because you cannot trust the photos online at all. And it's really funny because what we do is we go and inspect properties on our clients' behalf. We take full video walkthrough tours, and all the time we're pointing out all the things that could be like problematic things. Like, there's this area is very drafty. There's some mold buildup in the bathroom. I can hear a barking dog next door. Like, all of those things are really super, super important, because you cannot trust those rental listings. So that is something to be mindful of.
And I guess that would be pretty characteristic of people that are trying to either rush rental applications like we were. You know, we had an Airbnb and we had a time when we were out and we didn't want to have to kind of rent another one. Have you seen many cases of people that have rushed kind of getting into a rental, perhaps selected the wrong rental, and kind of what happened there?
Yes, I had this guy who was desperate to get into a certain school zone.
Hmm.
And it's all coming back to me. Desperate to get into the school zone and didn't have a very big budget. It was in Sydney, and the property prices in Sydney for rentals are astronomically
Crazy.
disgusting. So, so crazy. So, super, super keen to get into this property, got him a place. That was great. Moved in, and it was all done within like 24 hours. Like, got in this place, great, signed the lease, flew in, took his son to go and have a look around the school. And then they were like, this is not the school for us. And with all the research that they had done online, and they thought, yep, this is the one, and we need to be in this certain school zone.
Mm.
Yeah, then got to the school and they were like, no, it's not for us. And at that stage, they had signed the lease. They had signed a 12-month lease. They were in there, and yeah, they were like, nah, not for us. And when you're in a school zone, like, you're in that school zone. So they ended up breaking the lease and
Yeah.
and looking at other schools. But that was a case of just needing something really quickly. And then it wasn't the property's fault that it wasn't right, but it was the school zone that was the undoing of it
Yeah,
all.
I guess it's the false sense of security that sometimes people do with a little bit of over research. I know when we
Mm,
moved, we try and do as much research as possible, but you can really beat yourself up with that. Like, just look, oh, I'm going to overload myself with information. And I guess that's one of the reasons why I started making YouTube videos, to kind of show, because there wasn't anyone when I first did it to kind of show people what it's like. I mean, I've got my opinion. I know that some people don't agree with it. I know that sometimes I'm wrong, but sometimes you can't. It feels nicer, first of all, to hear someone else's opinion, to at
mm.
least inform yourself, giving that little bit of personal advice, I guess. But sometimes, like you say, having the video walkthroughs and showing people, at least you can still make your own decision. The new images, not these 10-year-old ones, they can't lie. This is what I can hear outside. This is what the outside looks like. This is what it sounds like at, 2 o'clock or whatever it is in the day. Yeah, people have that information to make their own kind of decisions. And
Well, it's just being transparent. That's
yeah,
the thing. This is the facts. Because I think a lot of the times when you see things online, people who are posting have either had a really, really great
yeah,
experience or a really shitty experience.
there's
And
never in the middle, is there?
you're just not getting like just a genuine, like, overview of what a situation might be like for everyone that's there.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And what
I
we
like.
like in a house might not be necessarily what someone else is looking for. Well, you'd know what they're looking for anyway, wouldn't you? Because you've already kind of asked them. But again, sometimes people are like, this is really important to me. But then when you kind of put it to people, they're like, actually, I've decided it's not really important to me now. And,
Oh, I'll tell you what a lot of people really want when they move to Australia. How can
the
you
pool.
guess? all the time, all the time. And especially for people from the UK
Yeah.
love a pool. It's such a dream. And if the budget is there, then yeah, great, let's get a pool. But I do find sometimes people will go, all right, I've got 750 a week to spend. Let's just use that example. And we'd love a pool. So whilst it's possible to secure a property for $750 a week that's got a pool, depending on what area you're in, the house
The
is going to
quality
leave
of
a
the house
lot
is
to
going to
be
be, yeah.
desired. A lot of the times it's a house that's probably designed to be bulldozed to have like a new house there. And they're like, we want this pool. And I'm like, oh God, are you sure? Can we
Well,
put
I
you
can tell
close to the
you,
beach?
as someone that has a pool now and as
Uh-huh.
someone that lived in one of these townhouse complexes with a pool, I loved the fact that when I first moved over here, I rented a place that I had access to a pool that I never had to maintain. I
Mm-hmm.
just went in there and the daughter was in there. She had a little armband things on. I'd go in with a couple of beers and sit there. And
Perfect.
this is great. I was not in there on the weekend cleaning the poxy thing out. Leaves, chemicals, checking. Oh, mate, no. If someone else can deal with it, because I've just moved to the other side of the world and it's stressful enough, I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling you now, you don't need it. Yes, you do. It's nice, but you don't
It is
need to have a
nice.
pool if that's,
It is nice if you've got the budget. If you've got the
yes.
budget and you can get a pool, awesome. But don't like if it's well, oh gosh, if you're in Queensland, get a pool. I mean, that's great. But if you're in Melbourne,
Yeah,
go get a
especially if it's
pool.
your first summer as well. You might need that. Or just get a really big bucket.
Sprinkler on the front lawn.
I guess then that kind of falls into maybe a trap, if you like, for people when they first move. We really, really need a pool. But are there any kind of scams or other kind of traps that people might fall into that they need to be aware of when renting a place? And again, not necessarily state specific, or could be state specific.
Yeah, interestingly enough, we've actually got a real problem in the industry that I'm in
Hmm.
terms of relocation managers, because this idea, and I sort of touched on it before, I started the business 10 years ago. At that time, there was traditional relocation agencies, but not this tenant advocate type thing that we're seeing now. There was probably, I'd say, there'd probably be about five of them that I was aware of when I was kind of up and coming and sort of setting up this business. Since then, I think because there's such a low barrier to entry, anyone can basically do what this is. It's helping people find rental properties. We're starting to see some real scammers come into this.
Hmm.
Um, there's a certain there's some people who have made the move themselves and then they go, okay, great, I'm going to help other people. And those people tend to be really good actually because they've been through it before and they've got they're warm and they're empathetic and they're kind of that friend on the ground. And I really love that because that's kind of what you want. A lot of the times these people don't maybe know the background of how to get applications to the top of the pile because they don't have that background information. But I think that those people are okay. What we are seeing at the moment now is straight up scammers. So people who have got like pretty glossy looking websites and things jumping on, doing sometimes video calls and meeting people, taking the money, and then people are never hearing from them again.
They literally just take and run.
Just yeah, and if you jump on any forums and things and ask these questions, it is happening to so many people. And a lot of times people will then find our services and say, oh, this happened to us. Like I'm hearing, if not weekly, like once a fortnight of this that's happening of people trying to get a relocation manager and then getting scammed because it's not cheap.
Mm.
It's like even these people who are asking for money, it's upwards of $1,000, and then they go, yeah, we'll find you a place, and then they just never hear from them. So that is a real concern because it's so
Are they
expensive
often the
moving.
cheaper ones? I hear of similar things
Mhm.
when people are applying for visas, and visa agencies they're not a cheap thing either. And I guess people they have this. I mean, actually, one of the things I've learned in Australia is nothing good is ever cheap, and nothing cheap is ever any good. Australians do love a good quality kind of thing, but especially I guess the pom in me is still a bit of a tight bastard sometimes, and sometimes yeah, you kind of think to yourself that price kind of is a little bit too good to be true. And I don't hear of it so much now. I think maybe because I'm trying to educate people about this whole idea of, you want to, doesn't matter which agent you use necessarily, like definitely pick the one that you gel with the most and that can help you the most, but just make sure that they're MARA registered. Are there any kind of registrations or things that people should be looking out for with regards to making sure that they don't get scammed by a relocation agent?
It's not necessarily registrations in this industry, but it's 100% reviews. And the thing is,
Yeah,
these people who are scamming people, if you go and find their reviews, all the reviews are there.
you
So
don't
I'm
have
not
to look very
sure.
hard.
I don't know what's happening in terms of how people are slipping through the cracks. and still getting scammed. Because if you do your research and you see the reviews, it's simple Google reviews, and you'll see that this person's scammed me, this person's scammed me. They're peppered with some good reviews, which are questionable, but a
It's
lot of
probably
them
their mates again.
totally, but a lot of them is reviews. So that's the biggest thing. If you're ever thinking of taking on a relocation agent, it's just reviews. I mean, I know with our with our business, we actually give 100% money back guarantee on our relocation package, and we say if we can't get your property secured by the time you arrive in Australia, you get your full money back. And we can only do that because we're really selective about the clients that we bring on.
Yeah.
I mentioned before that we wouldn't take on someone if I wasn't 100% certain that I could get them a property, and that's why I've got that guarantee in there. And so you kind of can't go wrong. You either get a property or you get your money completely back. So looking for things like that as well, and just checking all the reviews is just so important.
If you could change one thing about Australia's housing or rental system to make it easier or fairer for new arrivals, what would it be?
The application process. That application process is so crap. There's so many applications. There's all of these things. They want so much information. They just need to streamline it. It'll make it so much easier. And then people just fill out the one application and then they could just go to town, just applying for all the properties that they see.
Do you know what? I think I have got like form phobia now as a result of moving. I often think to myself, I tell myself, it's a big thing moving to another country. Like it changes you as a person. It makes you a better, more confident person. But the one thing that it has ruined in me is I had one today. My Brazilian jiu-jitsu gym was like, "Oh, we're updating our systems. Can you re-sign the new waiver?" And I was like, "Oh, I can't do this. Like another epoxy form."
Yeah.
Even my coach emailed me today because obviously I don't know whether it checked to say that, Ross filled it in, but he didn't fully fill it. He's like, "Are you okay? Do you need help filling in the thing?" And I'm like, "Mate, I'll get around to it later." And it's even the same thing. We're also going through our citizenship application process.
That's a lot of forms.
More forms, and they're freaking immigration forms. They're the worst kind of forms. I mean, rental ones are probably second, but I was like, no, I'll get it done this week. I promised myself I'll get it done this week.
Yeah, my kids went to a birthday party on the weekend, and there was forms you had to fill out. So you've got to go to the birthday party. Not even joking. Admittedly, it was like a disclaimer if they get hurt at the birthday party. But I was like, mate,
what kind of birthday party is this?
No.
What are they doing that they're going to get hurt?
On bikes. But on push bikes, honestly.
I'd have just said to Aurora, I was like, nah, sorry, mate, you can't go. Save me money on the present as well.
The present. I was like, the form. Bloody form.
Not making it easy for me. You're not going. Now, if you're watching all of this and you're thinking to yourself, bloody hell, moving to Australia really isn't easy. And at the moment, I have no way to even move here and live here permanently. Well, you need to speak to the sponsor of this podcast, True Blue Migration Services. And when you mention us, you can use their free visa assessment. And whether you're currently in Australia or you're just looking to make the first steps, fill in all of your details, upload your resume, and they'll be able to tell you exactly what you could do to make this your permanent move. Like with my move to Australia, I had no idea what I was doing, whether it was trying to find a rental or even what I needed to do as my first steps in order to get a visa. Compounded by the fact that I'm incredibly lazy, and for a small fee I'm happy to let someone do all of the hard work and forms for me. I mean, there are plenty of things that you kind of have to do yourself with regards to moving, so why not use all of the help that you can? And because we've been working them for so bloody long now, because you mentioned that Johnston Life, you'll also go on to save an additional $200 off the cost of your visa. I don't know, maybe you could put that towards a relocation agent, or you could just do it all of yourself. The relocation agency, the visa agents, and get the stress. So if a visa is what you need and you're not sure what to do, check them out on their website, www.truebluemigration.com. How do you help clients adapt their expectations to the realities of the Australian rental market at the moment? Just mainly so they kind of don't feel discouraged, because people have these these unicorn ideas about what they think they're going to get.
It's the budget. It's the budget that's going to be the thing that crushes all those dreams. And I think, for me, it's having that conversation up front. So as soon as I get that questionnaire and I can see how much the budget is and where you want to live, that conversation happens straight away of whether or not that's realistic or that's not realistic. And if there's any concern regarding what they're asking for and what I think I can deliver, it's a matter of just going, let's jump on realestate.com and this is what we're looking for and this is what's available. Because a lot of times people will say, I want 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, I want to be in this area and this is my budget. And just straight away I'll go, well, that's realistic or that's not realistic. So it's the budget that's going to to make or break what it is that you're after. And I always say I would much rather put someone in a better location, I think, than a better property, especially when you're moving, only because I feel like once you've got a property, and if you've got kids, especially in school kind of ages, and you're going to be in a particular school zone, I really love the idea that you get that property and then you can kind of build your community and everything around it. So even if the budget's not stretching as far enough to get the dream house, I'd like to put you in the dream location and just kind of work on there.
Well, you're right. You're never going to really, unless you've got the budget that can keep rising, you're never going to have to, you're never going to get everything. So you're going to have to kind of settle. It becomes then, well, what's the thing that you want to settle on? And yeah, I kind of agree, because what is a nice house sometimes, especially when it's not your forever home. Like, as long as there's no mold, there's no draft, it does everything that we kind of need it to do. Because I mean, one of the things that I think about renting, I often get asked about people, how long should you rent for before you end up buying a property? And I think deep down, I kind of feel like saying to people, take as long as you freaking want. Because when we first moved here and we were renting, and then we had things like, you don't have to worry about maintaining, mate, DIY, freaking hate it.
My God,
My
tell me about it.
weekends were free when we rented stuff, to be able to go around and do things, and actually sort of, after the first few weeks of not being able to have a bit of a holiday and enjoy the country that we just moved to, it was nice to finally be able to do that. I often say to people as well, when you move, have as much time off before you kind of have to start working to enjoy what you've just kind of worked really, really hard for. And having a rental
100%.
helps you to kind of do that. But yeah, you're not spending time in the house really, unless you've maybe got a pool, but you're going out and you're exploring where you now live, and you're getting to know it better. And
100%.
it's a bit like a hotel. You just come back to kind of sleep sometimes.
That's it. And you've got to be comfortable. Like, I get that for sure, but I just think getting that right area is, yeah, so important. So important. I love it.
And not being funny, I think sometimes a lot of the rentals, they're kind of just the same. Like, they're the same thing. There's a thing about, like, oh yeah, that's a rental house. Don't get me wrong, you get the ones with character and things like that, but 9 times out of 10, they're probably going to be the ones that are a bit more expensive. So, like I said before, you end up paying for things if you want it.
Well, when you first move and you've got that first initial 12 months, that's something that we should probably mention about what people don't realize is a traditional standard lease term is 12 months, not 6 months. So a lot of people from abroad will go, I'm after a 6-month lease. They're really rare. So it's 12 months as a standard lease. But anyway, 12 months will go so quickly in that first year when you first arrived and everything's new and you're out and about and exploring and things. And so if you end up kind of planting yourself in a certain spot, you can get up, you can move. You're not like 12 months will go like that. It really will. Yeah.
5 years has kind of gone like that sometimes, I think.
Bet. Seriously.
What's the most rewarding story you've had with a client securing their first home in Australia?
Oh, this is the best job. It's the best job. The reason being, I love hearing people's stories of like why they're making the move. Like, I think it's so bold and brave. Anyone that's like picking up and leaving where they've come from, leaving their family and everything. Like, I love those kind of people. So, and I'm also kind of obsessed with real estate. So between my realestate.com.au addiction and like getting to meet people who are making this move, like I feel like I've got the world's best job. But probably the best and like most heartfelt thing is, as a part of our sort of process with our relocation package, we actually get the property all set up for you. So you basically go straight from the airport. We get a driver to pick you up and it drops you straight off at the property we've secured for you. We've got the beds and everything all made up for you. And there was a time that I was there and I was meeting a family and we had been chatting over the previous month of getting the property sorted, whatever. And when she got there, she opened the door. I was going to be emotional and she started crying. And she said that we've dreamed about this our whole life. This has been a dream that we've always had. It's been on my vision board and I can't believe we're here and we're standing in our new house. And she was crying and I was crying. I was like it felt like you'd kind of helped like make a small part of making their dream come true. It was amazing. I love it.
That sounds a lot better than our first experience when we finally got into our rental and we had no furniture. And again, I've got a picture or a video of Sam sat with just her back to the wall under the aircon because it was warm, eating
being
fish and
like,
chips
what the hell?
out of the paper bag because we didn't even have
Oh,
plates.
that's a nice memory
Yeah,
still.
yeah. So, well, there you go. You can either use a relocation agent and everything can all be set up for you, or you can be like us, eating fish and chips out of a bag on the floor.
Totally. Either.
If you could give our listeners 3 clear action steps before they land in Australia.
Before they land, it would be the documentation. So get all that documentation ready. So you will probably have a lot of that documentation ready anyway with all the process you've got to go to moving over. So the documentation's a big one. Do a little bit of independent research in terms of areas, I think, as well, before you come. I know we touched on before, don't go too extreme with it, but just to get an idea. I think that's probably the way to go. And I don't know, this might seem a bit lame, but like just to enjoy the process because it's such a once in a lifetime thing. And I think people can get really stressed out about some of the small stuff. And it always works out. It totally works out. Like, look at you now. You're in this beautiful place. Back then you were sitting and eating fish and chips on the floor. It's all a part of the process and just kind of enjoy the journey because it's just so exciting. And so many people don't do it. So many people would never do it. And if you're making the move and you're doing it, I don't know, try and enjoy it because you're one of the few diamonds that are just living life to the max. It's cool. It's so cool.
Thanks, Jade, for sharing your knowledge and expertise with us and giving us all a greater insight in what you have to do to be successful in securing a rental in Australia. If you want to see more of how they do things, then check them out on Instagram at Rental Search Australia, or you can even go onto their website at rentalsearchaustralia.com. Put all the details in the description down below. And if you're looking at moving to northern Brisbane like us and you want a relocation agent, you never know, you might be working with us to help you find a rental. I mean, don't move to northern Brisbane just because you want to meet us. Like, you can just contact us on Instagram and we'll probably go for a beer. And if you want to see more of what our life is like, you can also check us out on the other socials as well, like YouTube. Just search for That Johnston Life. And if you're in the early stages of trying to move to Australia and get a visa, or you're currently here and you're trying to find a way to stay, speak to the sponsors of our podcast, True Blue Migration Services. Go onto their website, www.truebluemigration.com, upload your CV or resume, and they'll be able to tell you exactly what you need to do to stay in this beautiful country. And because you've mentioned That Johnston Life, you'll also go on to save an additional $200 off the cost of your visa. Why wouldn't you want to find out if they could help? And I'll see you next time.